Welcome to Jack Fleming Artistry. We've got a shop truck to work on this time for Bradlack Upholstery out of Canton, Texas. Mutual friend of mine, Bradlack's here, has allowed me to use his shop, which is air conditioned and very clean, and I'm very thankful for it. Brad gave me this drawing that he had done by another artist. I'm not sure the name, but if I find out, I will let you guys know. It's pretty cool, and it's perfect for his business. And it looks like we're missing part of it. All right, so what I decided to do is put a piece of paper here, use my computer, which I brought with me to hold the image up, so I could sit here and draw and film for you guys. Put this on the van here, got some heavy duty magnets, but when I turned around after setting that up and lifted that up and put it on there and looked, there's my missing piece. This is awesome. I was totally prepared to draw it, but now we get to save some time like we'd originally planned. This child of the 80s is feeling like Hannibal from the A-Team. Loving it when the plan comes together. To try and make it look level, I'm going to draw a line underneath this lettering. I know this is all kind of freehand. It's got a little bit of an arch to it. But maybe if I make those parts level, then the whole thing will look level on the truck. So now we'll use this trim. 8.5, 8 and a little less than a quarter. Let's go down here and look at this. 19 and an 1/8. 19. So that's farther down there, but farther up there. Spare y'all some math and just time lapse it here. Alright, I got my handy dandy Mural paper. I'm going to put that behind here and then trace it out just on top of this, and then I'm going to set this to the side to use as a reference while I paint. The Mural paper is behind my drawing, and I'm using a ballpoint pen to trace it over. That ballpoint pen helps to push it through pretty well. Realize a couple of things as I'm sitting here and tracing this off. This might be, I guess, kind of controversial to some people, right? I'm an artist. I create my own stuff, art prints and whatnot. Right now I'm taking another artist's work and I'm putting it on this truck. In a situation like this, I don't really look at myself as being an artist. Not in the sense of designing something, creating something. I'm more or less applying something. I'm using painting skills, brush skills to do so, but in a way I'm kind of doing the same job that I guess you'd say a printer would do. Granted, we want a hand brushed look on this. I'll be designing the distressed look to it. That's kind of about where that stops. I've got a friend that's a tattoo artist that recently told me that he doesn't really feel like a true artist with what he does. He feels like a person that applies images to skin. And I think what I'm doing here with this job is very similar to that. I don't really feel like I'm creating. I am applying an image with paint to a vehicle. A couple other things, thoughts that ran through my head while doing this is when you learn to draw. Now, something too that I've heard people argue and debate about. I'm sitting here, I'm tracing over this drawing right now, and as I do it, I kind of feel like I'm getting sort of a intimate sense of how this artist works in a way. There's little things that I'm picking up on that if I didn't sit here and trace this and draw it out, I wouldn't realize that the artist had done. That's kind of cool for me because then I'm learning. I'm learning how this artist works, which I think is neat. I used to teach art Used to teach people how to draw. When I was in college, one of the things that we'd do was master studies. And I feel that master studies are really important. They help you learn how a master of something did what they did. You get inside their head a little bit. In this case, I feel like I'm kind of getting inside of the head of the person that drew this a little bit. What's their process for making chrome, or for making things look like they're moving, or how they do rope. I don't think it's a bad thing to trace other people's stuff in order to learn. I think it's a horrible thing to trace other people's stuff and try to pass it off as your own. But if you're learning and you trace something, in my mind, it's not a bad practice. When you're done tracing it, throw it away. You know, it's not for anyone else, it's for you. It's for you to learn, you know, how that person drew, how to get better. Find some of your favorite artists, trace some of their work. Trace it at the size of the original, if you can. You'll learn a lot, an awful lot. Like a lot more than you'd learn just glancing at people's work, or, you know, one thing that some people say is look at a whole bunch of other people's work and then do your own thing to be inspired by it, which I think that too is good. But again, I don't see anything wrong with, when you're learning, tracing something and then throwing away. Come back later, draw your own thing, maybe really freshly after doing that, so that those ideas are still fresh in your head and you're applying them to your own design. But I think this could apply to pinstriping, lettering. You know, people practice letter forms all the time. Pinstriping, I hear people kind of get bent out of shape about that. But if you're tracing someone else's designs for learning, throwing it away, I don't know, do that with 5 or 6 different artists. Some of their best works that you like, you're bound to pick up something off of it. And it's kind of like synthesizing it in your brain, I guess. Kind of all the thoughts that came into my head while I was doing this that I thought might be beneficial for y'all, worth sharing. Get back to work. Well, I feel like I'm slipping a little bit today. I failed, one, to double check my pattern before I left. That's where I had the little scare that I was missing a piece. But 2, I failed to test and see if this was transferring with mural paper. You can barely see this. You can actually see it better on the camera here than you can with the naked eye, but it is so light. I'm gonna have to come back and redraw that with the Stabilo pencil or Omnichrome. I haven't drawn off the other side yet, you know, transferred it, but I've got another trick I'm going to show you guys that I did test, and it seems to be working a little bit better on this. Alright, so I took my paper, flipped it over backwards, put it on my van here. I'm going to use ebony pencil, and I'm just going to come over and everywhere where there's image, turn this into transfer paper with graphite. It's going to eat up some time, it's going to eat up a pencil, but like 4 hours from home, don't have a way to get a hold of other supplies where I'm at, so we're just going to work, figure out how to get it done. Now that my arm is sufficiently wore out, I've got that done. I'm going to go transfer it on the other side of the truck here, compare the two. I might have to go back and reload this with graphite and do this side as opposed to sitting there and tediously drawing it off. I wish I had ran the electro pounce over this at the house, but hindsight. Alright, so it's not coming out great, but it's coming out better than the mural paper did. So this is the route we're going. I'm not going to make you guys watch me trace this out again. It's the same thing. Alright, I've already been painting a little bit. You can see my pencil marks from where we traced it. Some of the paint work that I've been doing. I'm going to go catch the other side up to this side. My game plan whenever I work on pieces like this, especially ones that have a lot of different colors and stuff to them, is just to work one color at a time. Work my blues, worked in some browns, worked in grays, worked in greens. Just take it one color at a time. That way I'm not cleaning too much. You know, I bounce back and forth and do both doors at the same time, but stick to one color. I also like to keep those other colors around that I've already worked with and use those to kind of help create my shadows or my highlights or whatnot with the colors I'm working on. That way there's a little bit of each color inside of each other, kind of helps unify it a little bit. And then it's just being patient and working through it one part at a time and kind of letting yourself get lost in all the little folds and shadows and highlights. Alright, I know I've got a baby powder container here, but it has cornstarch in it. Usually I use baby powder. Switched over to cornstarch because I couldn't find any baby powder. I didn't have a bunch of junk in it this time. But whenever the paint gets tacky enough, I'm taking some of this, and I like the baby powder better because I could just blow it, but this won't do that. I'm just going to rub. That's going to help dull this down a little bit, but at the same time what I'm really after is taking the sheen out of it. So the paint is not dry. It's wet enough that this will stick, not wet enough that this will smear. I know it's making it look pretty pink right now, but we'll come back and we'll take a lot of this off and it won't be so pink looking. And I've been doing that to every color once it gets dry enough. Coming in, rubbing some cornstarch on it. And I'm letting this dry pretty good on this job before doing this because I don't want to make it so flat. The paint on here still has a little bit of gloss to it. Anything's going to be kind of wet. It's going to be that yellow right there. And I'm probably going to end up going and doing a little sanding on this later on, pulling out a little bit of stuff with some lacquer thinner. But it's one trick. Like I said, we come back, wipe some of this off. That red was pretty bright, so this helped dull it down without spending a lot of time mixing the color to exactly what I wanted. And look, I forgot to get that. Luckily some of the powder from this got that little part. Oh, there we go. It really is quite refreshing getting to do a job like this to me. I feel like it kind of gets me back to where I started with fine art stuff. Getting to do blends and mix a lot of colors and stuff. There's just something really nice about being able to mix colors. I will say when it comes to doing this kind of work with enamels like One Shot or Alpha Enamel or Ronin or any of the other ones out there, you have to work pretty quick and you have to work, what's the word I'm looking for? Deliberately. Kind of getting in your head what it is that you're planning on doing, being confident about that, and putting the marks down quickly. This paint dries pretty darn quick. It gets tacky while you're working with it really fast. Doing blends and other things are kind of hard. Something like this, I'm leaving those blends kind of rough looking, and that really helps. Not getting too caught up in making perfect blends. And then here, in my mind, is probably my favorite part, coming back with the black outlines. To me, this is kind of where it just magically starts to look like it's going to look. And here's our final shots on this. I don't know if you guys learned anything on this one, but I hope you enjoyed watching the process on it, learning a little bit about the steps and stuff that I take in creating something like this. And as always, hit the like button if you liked it. Please leave me some comments and stuff. Tell me what you guys think, and click on one of the other two videos. We'll see you next time.